Greetings, humans. Oh my goodness. Using multiplicative inverse to solve equations. I don't know. That sounds more fun than playing with a herd of gazelle in the African plains. So here we go. We're looking at multiplicative inverses and using those to help us solve equations. Well, what is a multiplicative inverse? A multiplicative inverse is simply a number's reciprocal. So if you have the fraction 7/3, its multiplicative inverse would be the reciprocal, or the flipped version of the fraction. So flip fraction, that's how you find the multiplicative inverse. The cool thing about these is when you take like 2/5 and you multiply it by its multiplicative inverse, or its reciprocal, guess what you get? Well, you've got 10 on top and 10 on the bottom, so the result is 1. Anytime you take a number like 3/8, negative even, and you multiply it by its reciprocal, otherwise known as the multiplicative inverse, you will get the answer of 1. Take a number or a fraction, multiply it by its reciprocal or its multiplicative inverse, and you will get 1. That's where we start. Here's where we go. So if you come across an equation, asks you to solve for x, you go through the necessary steps. You see a number right next to a variable, so that implies multiplication. Well, let's tell the story about x. X is being multiplied by 4/7, so typically you would divide 4/7 on both sides. But be careful. What you've done right now is you have a fraction on this left side, 4/7, and you're saying we need to divide 4/7, and you still have this x. And then on the right side, you've got 12, and you're dividing 4/7. But to divide 4/7, isn't that the same thing? Because if you are dividing, you've got to KCF, not KFC, but KCF. You've got to keep the first idea, 4/7, and change the sign to multiplication, and then flip the second idea. So here's what the equation becomes. 12, instead of divide, you're going to keep the first 12, change the division sign to a multiplication sign, and then flip the fraction. Okay. If we go through the motions here, guess what you have here? A number multiplied by its multiplicative inverse, which results in just 1x. And it's equal to 12 times 7 is 84/4. That result is 21. So that's your answer. X is equal to 21. But let's return to what we did. We divided by 4/7 up here. Divide 4/7. And if you notice, if you divide 4/7, it's the same as multiplying 7/4. So if ever you have the situation where you have a number or a fraction next to x at the end of your solving the equation, you can multiply each side by its multiplicative inverse, 7/4. Instead of dividing by 4/7, if you multiply by 7/4, it's the same exact thing. So you can save yourself this step right here. You don't even need it, as long as you can identify that dividing 4/7 is the same as multiplying 7/4. So if we were to multiply 7/4 on both sides, we'd come up with the same answer. That's a lot of words. Let's do another example. Okie dokie, I'm going to do this one, and I'll give you one to do next. In order to solve an equation, you know the steps. You tell yourself the story about the variable, and then you undo it. Right now, x is being multiplied by 3/5 and subtracted by 12. The opposite is to add 12 on each side, and that'll leave you with 3/5 x nothing, equal sign, and then when you add these, you've got 10. Here's the thing. What's happening to x right now? X is being multiplied by 3/5. So normally you would divide 3/5. But dividing a fraction is the same as multiplying its reciprocal. So notice I'm just going to take 3/5 and flip it upside down. If I multiply that on this side, it's going to leave me with 1x, because 5 times 3 is 15, and so is 3 times 5. 15 over 15 is 1x. There's 1x. And you still have over here, be careful so that you do the same thing on this side. Multiplying by 3/5 reciprocal, which is 5/3. Over here you've got 10 times 5 on top over the 3 times 1 on the bottom. So the result is simply 50 over 3, or 50/3. Bangarang. You can use this example as a reference as you do this next problem. Here you go. Go ahead and try this one. Remember, tell yourself the story and then undo it. But if you ever return to a spot where you've got something over something with an x equals a number over here, in order to get x by itself, you'd need to multiply by the number's reciprocal. As long as you do it on both sides, you'll be all right, and you'll also have your final answer. Good luck. Make sure you pause the video if you haven't already, so that I can show the right answer for this one. Psych, I'm not showing you an answer. I forgot. I'm having you try this one, and so you can show me tomorrow in class. This one, number 2, I want you to try this one as well. It looks intimidating, but it's not. All you have to do is tell yourself the story about the variable, and then undo it on both sides. You can treat this fraction just like you treated this 14 at the start of number 1. So treat this one the same way, as long as you do it on both sides, and then you should come up with a good answer. Good luck. See you tomorrow. Show me these two for your homework. Bye.